Hey, goody peepees, quick heads up. For this episode, the audio is going to be a little bit garbled. We had a problem while recording. And huge shout out to Sprued Jameson for coming in at the 11th hour to fix our camera audio, which is our only source of audio, to make it not sound so trash. Hopefully it's okay. Enjoy the episode.
One day, the two young hobbitses, the Tickler and Conjon, went to the great Mount Rainier to throw the ring in, and they came a bit short and ended up in a place known as Broken Anvil Land, in the podcast known as
Trapped Under Plastic.
The podcast where an older guy stalked a younger guy, parenthetical via email parenthetical, and seduced him into a beautiful romance.
It was a bromance, but...
Romance!
Jesus.
Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
This is Chris, owner of Broken Anvil Miniatures. We're here in Seattle, hanging out with him. How you doing, man?
Tired.
Tired, yeah. You guys have a Kickstarter coming out, and you're here on a Saturday. You brought out some workers for us to hang out with, an interview.
And burritos.
And burritos.
Burritos, muffins.
Muffins.
And high
donuts,
chews.
High chews.
Yeah.
Lots of chips.
So he seduced us with food, essentially.
Yes. Brings us out here with food. And then we get to play some Rivenstone.
Yeah.
And then we get to record a Trapped Under Plastic here. How does this look, goody peepees? How do we look in here?
Probably better than our other set.
A little blue and a little pink.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's really nice. So, we got some Preamble Ramble business here. John did lore.
Yeah.
Everyone's screaming right now.
I got a relevant story to our time already here in the Pacific Northwest. But before I tell that story, I'm going to tell this story. I broke down and watched a lore video on YouTube. Warhammer 40k lore. And it was by Arbiter Ian. This is the 40k timeline in 20 minutes.
I've seen this name on my home tab before.
He's a nice British gentleman. He's got a nice soothing voice. And the video has 500,000 views.
Jeez.
So I'm like, all right, buddy, let's see this. And he does a good job very early in the video of explaining we don't know exactly where to start because there is no start. Like the lore is just like this timeline that just has no beginning and no end and a million holes in it. But he did a really good job. And actually I got to the point where I'm like, this kind of makes sense. It's ridiculous when somebody like says it all out loud. But I was like, okay, I did a lore. Okay. So that's it. I can die now and say I did lore.
Chris, do you know about 40k lore?
Not much.
Not much.
Not
so,
much.
Like, if he gave you like a rudimentary single question quiz, would you name
I
that?
would fail miserably.
Okay. Can you name 3 Space Marine chapters?
Probably not.
Can you try?
Let's see. Blood Eagle. Is that a thing?
Blood Eagle?
No.
Blood Eagles?
This is
no,
terrible.
no, this
I'm
is
going to
good.
make him up.
Space Storms.
Night
Demons.
Demons, Blood Eagles. Got it.
And the Trash Bros.
Trash
Is
Bros.
that a good one?
Yes.
Did I win?
Yes, you win because
Perfect.
here's the thing. For Space Marines, custom chapters
Yeah.
can be named whatever
Those
the
are
fuck you
all mine.
want.
Homebrew.
Yeah. Blood Eagles are Vikings.
Green Cobras.
Trash Brothers. Coming at you.
There's only 2 of these guys.
Yeah, they're really powerful.
Salamanders. That's one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Salamanders, Newts.
I think you went for Blood Angels.
Raven something.
Raven Guard.
Raven Guard. Yeah, Blood Angels.
Yeah.
I don't know them, but I know them.
Yeah.
Everybody knows.
They're red.
Everybody, red, black, green.
Exactly. So yeah, well, it's not because we're in Seattle right now, and we're hanging out. We were talking earlier, me and my wife were talking to some of the staff here, and we're kind of curious about what we should do, because it's like free day. And 3 individual people, you being one of them, brought up this thing called the Troll, or the Stone Troll.
The Troll.
Yeah, the Fremont Troll.
Yeah.
Fremont Troll.
And when it was first brought up, everyone was like super stone cold about it. And I was like, is this a real troll?
There's really a troll.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like even right now, he's being super nonchalant about it.
It's a big ass troll.
It's a
under
1-to-1
bridge.
scale stone
Yeah.
troll
Yeah.
under a bridge. I want to see it.
I mean,
carved
don't get me
from
wrong.
stone.
Oh yeah, it's terrible looking,
Oh.
but it's cool.
It's cool.
And it's a thing you have to see. Like I think you can like sit in his hand too, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
If he doesn't like you, he crushes you.
Yeah.
It's how you know
Yeah.
if you're going to make it to heaven or not.
There's usually people crawling all over him all day long.
Oh, okay.
He's very busy.
Are they homeless people or just like regular people?
I can't really answer that.
Okay.
Yes and no.
Okay.
A lot of yes.
Okay.
Okay. John, do you have a story?
I got a story.
About hot sauce, maybe?
Yeah. Okay. So
Shit.
So when we arrived here yesterday, Chris threw us a giant barbecue. AKA, they moved into a new office space and their neighbors next door threw them a barbecue and we showed up.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Like the first time Chris talked about it, I'm like, wow, they're going to throw us a barbecue with all the staff and everything. And I was like, oh, wait, it's not for us. Never mind.
We're employees.
So we got some really good eats, right? I ate like 2 full plates full and I regretted it afterwards.
There's burnt ends.
Yeah.
Baked beans. Variety of salads. Macaroni, potato, and noodle.
And Oriental salad. That was good with the ramen noodles.
It was.
Why were you talking in Southern accent?
I feel like when you get in a barbecue, you evolve into
Birds and wizard fingers.
Yeah. Burgers and wizard finger. So, I don't know if the Goody Peepees know what a wizard finger is. Did I talk about that in the podcast before?
That's an old, cold hot dog.
Yeah. It's an old, cold, shriveled up hot dog. It looks like little wrinkly wizard fingers. Anyway, so we're tearing down after the barbecue.
I forgot we were telling the story.
Yeah. And are out in the warehouse and kind of putting away stuff. And Chris has got a big old fridge in the warehouse where they're going to put all their drinks and stuff, the leftover beers and Cokes and other assorted waters. And he turns around and he says, "Hey, John, you like hot things?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I like spicy things. And he's holding some bottles in his hand, and they're hot sauces. He's like, "I made these hot sauces." So I'm like, "Well, I have to be a good guest and taste Chris's hot sauce." And so he pours a good amount into a plastic spoon.
It was
for
like
me.
a drop.
Yeah, it was like
a drop.
it was like a tablespoon. Okay, it was a lot. All right, let me tell my story. And I put it in my mouth, and I kept it on my tongue to like get the flavor. And
Who does that?
I don't know. I wanted to taste it.
When you were telling the story the first time, I was like, why did you do that?
I wanted to, because usually if you have something spicy, it's got good flavors to it. You can taste a little cayenne, a little chipotle, a little jalapenos.
You'll taste that no matter what. Just eat the sauce.
Yeah, well, it didn't taste like anything.
Nope.
It just tasted like lava.
Hellscape.
And so I'm like, oh shit. And then I swallow it. And I spent the next 15 minutes crying. Like crying. I couldn't even see. I couldn't talk. It was horrible. And I'm like, what's in it? What was in that thing? And he had 2 of them. And he gave the other one, which I had later after I could finally taste a little bit, was delicious. But the first one, he gave me the devil's asshole first.
It's called death sauce.
Death sauce. Okay.
It's got a skull on it for a reason.
What was in that?
It's a lot of ghost pepper and reapers and habaneros. And that's it.
But no.
Oh, it also has...
That liquid red shit in there?
No. It
Okay.
has pure capsaicin crystals as well.
Okay.
So if we were to put it on a rating scale, it'd probably be well into like the 4 million Scovilles. And it's not flavorful for a reason. It's just an additive. It's only hot.
So you use it as an additive to other hot sauces to modulate the
Or
temperature.
just put it on something that you're cooking to make it hot. Yeah.
Okay, like in a
It's not
sauce
great
or a
tasting.
stew.
Yeah.
So you gave him a spoonful knowing this.
It was a drop. I gave him a drop.
Oh.
He got a drop. And it's hot.
The people
but I told
know.
him. I also warned him. I was like, this is very hot.
Did you?
He said it was hot.
And you were like, I got this.
I got
You did.
it. I did.
You got
You
fucking
did.
schooled, brother.
Hey, I didn't cry like
Yeah, you
and poop at the same time. So I felt like I won. This morning, however, I had forgotten about the hot sauce. And I get up this morning.
Never forget.
I got up this morning like, oh, uh-oh, I got a little gurgle guts. And I'm like, I go to the bathroom. I'm like, what is happening?
Meltdown.
It was like, oh, the lava is back. Mountain Doom.
Round 2.
Woof.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had to go 3 times. Right before we were going to walk over here, I'm like, we need to wait.
You were like, I need 10 minutes. First of all, why does it take 10 minutes to have diarrhea?
Because
For me, it's like done in 10 seconds.
sometimes you have those when you don't know if you're done or not. You
Okay.
got to sit there and you got to make sure.
Yeah,
This was my situation all morning.
Or it hurts too much, so you have to
Yes.
stop and like.
Yes, you're like,
I
take deep
can't
breaths.
move right now.
I
I gotta
just
get some wet wipes.
Yes.
Calm down.
I had to wipe washcloth over my forehead. I
You
was-
guys gotta go to a doctor, dude.
Not anymore. I'm good. I felt cleansed. It was like it burned everything in my body on the way out. It's like everything came out. So thanks, Chris.
All right.
Broken Anvil hot sauce coming to a store.
That's when the stretch goes for your Kickstarter.
Get my death sauce.
You're gonna die.
All right, that's not what we painted. I painted Lion L. Johnson, the Primarch War, the Dark Angels.
There we go. That
Blood Eagles.
Blood Eagles.
Blood
For the
Eagles.
trash bros.
Yeah.
Trash bros.
Dude's got some options for assembly. You can have a giant chainsaw, a giant sword, you can have a helmeted head, or a non-helmeted head. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Mine didn't have any options. What'd you get?
I did a helmet and a big old sword because it looked like a knight.
Yeah, it does look like a big great sword.
Yep,
It is much cooler.
It is. And we know your opinions on swords in the future, John. So
Yeah.
Can it?
That makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, there's chainsaw swords.
I said cannons!
Chainsaw swords.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ah, shoot.
Okay. What was your?
What's your
What's experience?
I tried to go with the box art, and I tried to do it in one sitting. Okay, I tried to sit down and I painted that model, assembled it, and painted it
Ugh.
in like 16, 17 hours. It was
Straight?
Yeah.
You went overnight.
Oh, I stopped and ate dinner,
Okay.
and I went overnight. Yeah, I did not sleep that day.
Okay.
And I tried to paint like box art, and I got like maybe like 65% of the way there in terms of quality. You know, probably another 30 hours, maybe I could get like 90% of the way there.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
I think because of the situation I put myself in, it was impossible to enjoy.
Yeah.
I feel like no model would have been enjoyable to paint like that. So no, I didn't, to be totally honest. But that's my own fault.
Okay, Chris, have you done any hobby lately?
I have.
Okay, look at this. We got a guest that does some hobby. Okay, Chris.
I painted Lizard Man from MCP.
Whoa.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen that model, but it's really impressive. He's like jumping out of a sewer thing, and he's got water splashing everywhere.
Okay.
Cool.
I was trying to use the new Army Painter speed paints.
Okay. So it's kind of tested
I
now.
don't like them.
Didn't like it?
I don't like them at all. Honestly, I think they don't cover as nice as some of the contrast paints do.
Mm.
But and then some covered more than expected.
Okay.
So they were fairly inconsistent for me. But I've seen a lot of people do videos where they're fully consistent. So I don't know.
Sounds like a you problem.
Probably. I mean, it probably is a me problem.
Yeah.
Too much hot sauce.
He's just doing hot sauce in the brain.
All right.
Okay. I painted two things. I painted my own Primarch, my personal Primarch, which is Conrad Kurz
Your personal hero.
of the Night Lords.
Yeah.
And he didn't give me any options. It's just his zombie-looking face
Yeah.
and then his
Claws.
Wolverine claws,
Mm-hmm.
which were great. It was a lot of fun to paint. I painted some of it on stream,
Yeah.
and then I painted the rest of it over the course of 2 days at home. And I think, too, it was probably like a 70% ball sack paint job.
Yeah.
Certain areas were probably more like 80, and then there was a whole bunch that was like 40.
Yeah.
So I'd average it out.
I
But
mean, a little, parts of the base maybe.
yeah, I wanted to like not feel ashamed when it's sitting in a case of Warhammer World.
Okay.
That was my
Are you
drive.
throwing shade right now, but
I'm just saying what I'm saying.
I'm just saying you should feel ashamed.
I know. They'll put yours in the dark corner. No one knows.
Yeah, and it's all black and
Or maybe they'll put it next to Vince's and it'll look great.
Maybe. Whoa! Vince, yours is better than mine. Here's what, maybe. Here, maybe they have a giant, like, acrylic cube, so you can't get that close to it, right?
Oh, right.
It's like, I can't see the model. It's like, yes.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
No, okay, it's not that bad of a paint job, okay? I'm making it sound like shit. It's not that bad.
I also painted a Eldar Warlock from 1990, a metal Eldar Warlock that I bought off of eBay, and then I had to strip it and then painted it with a paint set, the Games Workshop Eldar and Orcs paint set from 1990 that was still new in the package that I opened up for this video.
Mm.
And in the after party, you're going to talk about something known as paint whispering, and it's going to apply to this paint. It was an experience, but not all unfun. Painting old metal models is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll say they're very it's interesting. I'm reminded of that era of metal models by pretty much any manufacturer, but GW especially. They're all very two dimensional. It looks like they got squished in the Han Solo thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're all like,
Yeah.
you can't go forward or back on anything. It's all like,
Do you know why that is, Chris?
It's just super early mold making.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of it stems from the rubber molds. They just didn't want to do any undercuts. So
Yeah,
right.
Easy peasy, and
You
then
get
they're
my-
easy to cast.
Yeah, 2-part mold.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
How was the experience with the paint though? That seems like a nightmare.
It was, and it actually, oddly enough, because in a prior video, I did the old hex pots from Games Workshop, and these ones are in the same old 1990 ones. They're in the exact same pots that P3 comes in today, and Foundry comes in today, the Nocturnal Paint comes in today. Apparently those pots have been around for longer than Scott, but yeah, they were only the tin bits, which is the metallic, was completely fucked. It was like the inside was like a thick crayon of complete hardness, and everything around it was like soap bubbles. And I was like, "There's no bringing this back." But everything else was relatively smooth. It's very thin. I was shocked how thin the paint is, and it goes on like an ink more than a paint. Really weird.
Okay, I've never used that old of a GW paint before, but I used like the screw-on hex pots, and that wasn't ever like ink-like. It was like normal.
No. Yeah, the hex pots weren't like that at all. This stuff is. There was a couple of colors that were thicker, like the bone color was a little bit thicker, but most of the colors were very thin.
Do you think it was just because it was old and it changed over time, or because that's how it was originally intended to be made?
I checked, I dug around the bottom of the pot, seeing if there's like settlement that was just like crusted on there. There's
Settlements,
nothing.
like little houses.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh my God! There's Pioneer down there.
I crushed it. Oh no, the goddamn squishes. No, it was not. There was nothing in there. It was just the consistency. Now, maybe over time, you would think that it would lose more moisture, wouldn't you?
Right.
Not
Yes.
be more. But it wasn't that it was
Moisture?
It was broken. The pigment wasn't separated. It was just very thin paint. Now, over 2 or 3 coats, they covered. But yeah, in the after party, I'll talk about how I had to deal with that. But it was not super fun.
This episode is sponsored by Chimera, debuting their new Kickstarter Tenebrae, Fate of Asteria, which is out now.
Chimera is showing off a lot of new goodies in this campaign, including 8 new figures in 75mm scale and 38mm scale, as well as some new Chimera color paint sets and some sexy looking unlock goals that we're already seeing unlocked.
The Kickstarter will feature the older Chimera Colors pure pigments that we're familiar with, the newest paint expansion released last Christmas, the 2 initial signature sets from artists Michael Pisarski and Danilo Cartacci, and the brand new set created by Robert Carlson.
The miniatures adhere to a dark gothic fantasy theme similar to Dark Souls or Elden Ring, so even when you're taking a hobby break from getting crushed by Margit, you can still be immersed in the From Software world.
The initial models in the campaign feature a female necromancer mounted on a beast, 4 warrior zombies, a paladin, and a barbarian, but more miniatures will be unlocked in the stretch goals.
If Chimera hits their stretch goals, we will see 2 new 200mm busts, 2 more mounted figures, 2 other paint sets, and free painting tutorials from Michael Pisarski, Francesco Farabi, Robert Carlson, Eric Swinson, and Fabrizio Russo. The stretch goals for this campaign are absolutely stacked. This will be the fastest way to get Chimera paint sets, as backers will have their orders fulfilled before a lot of this product is even going to be available on their website.
The campaign is already launched, and as of the publishing of this podcast, there is less than a week left. And there's no pledge manager after for late pledging, so all the items available in the campaign are only available during the campaign period. So if you want something, get on it. You can find links to the campaign in the show notes or description below. Thanks for sponsoring episode Chimera. Now back to the episode.
These little boys are giggling while I'm trying to introduce our main topic. And the main topic is Chris from Broken Anvil Miniatures. Go, Chris.
Yep.
What's up, guys?
So we want to know. What it's like to own and operate a miniature company. So we got some questions here for you, but you can also just riff for a while about it if you want to. You want to do these questions? Let's do it.
Let's do some questions.
Okay. So why don't you give us a typical life in the day of a miniature company owner? What is day start
Life in a
like?
day.
Day in a life.
Oh, that's a lot.
You only get 1 day to live your life.
Yeah.
You're a baby and then you die.
Oh my God.
Make miniatures quick.
Day in the life.
I am a miniature. Yeah.
Let's see.
What does it already look like?
Emails.
Lots of
It's a lot of emails.
So what kinds of
Yeah.
emails?
Everybody. So it's just my role being a CEO / creative director is a lot of just communication. So it's talking. It's emails with clients, emails with vendors, emails with Kickstarter, whatever it may be, and then it's going in between each of the offices, talking to the game designers, talking to the artists, concept artists, everybody. So it's just talking.
Okay.
I talk a lot.
How much staff do you have?
On site, like 26, I believe, and then another maybe 10 remote.
What are their various roles? What do they do?
We have everybody from administrative assistants all the way to studio directors to sculptors. We have someone making terrain 24/7.
He doesn't get to sleep?
Is it
24/7. Terrain.
Is it a full-time job?
Yes, full time. Yeah.
Could you imagine? I wonder how many people in the world have full-time terrain making jobs.
Yeah.
Just him.
Yeah.
We have studio painters. We have mold makers. We have a guy that pushes the button on the COCast machine.
Yeah.
He does more than that, but
Yeah.
that's really his role.
He's the production dude.
We have someone who clips minis off of sprues and takes the sprues and puts them in a bin for recycling.
Yeah. And then
QC
clean up the
people.
model for like mold making and stuff like that.
Oh no, that's just for packaging of the minis.
Oh.
Clipped,
Okay.
clipped and then QC'd and packaged.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dang.
26, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
We got the tour around here because you guys are not even fully moved in yet. You're in a new
we're
space.
3 days in maybe. Something
Yeah,
like
I heard some of the staff were like, Chris was yelling at us to make sure it doesn't look terrible for Scott and John because we will talk terribly about you,
Yeah.
which we will. So
that. Yeah,
yeah, but it looks great.
I was
I mean-
super angry.
Yeah, I could tell. But like, there's so much space. There's so many different work units. It's just like, it feels like there's so much more going on here than
Yeah.
I would have realized.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the one thing that grinds my gears. I hear it a lot on all of our like Discords and community stuff is that people think we're a Patreon creator, like we're like a small entity of a couple people. They don't realize that we're a company making miniatures, and unfortunately, like yeah, we haven't had a lot of opportunity for physical stuff because we have this big Kickstarter we're fulfilling, Dungeon Delvers.
Mm-hmm.
Once that's done, we have a bunch of lines planned for physical stuff, and that's really going to take over our entire days. It's just
Yeah.
physical mini making. So,
Because I remember at one point you had a cool display miniature line. You had a kobold.
Yeah.
You had young Odin.
Yeah.
Are you hoping to bring stuff like that back, bigger scale stuff, or mostly
Yeah.
bigger scale stuff?
the artist series stuff that you're talking about, we'd love to continue. They're just hard to make.
Yeah.
So now with COCast, I think we're going to be making our artist series in COCast.
Okay.
A little bit cheaper for people, and we can pump them out faster. So because
You know,
like casting 50 Odin took weeks.
Mm.
So yeah.
Okay, in resin.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know of anyone else who's doing display models in COCast?
Not that I know of. I think Yedharo has done a few large scale models. Like they have this orc riding a dragon or something. And things like this big.
I love that
It's
you know
huge.
Yedhara. Like,
Yeah,
you do
Yedhara.
such great research about.
I love Yedharo stuff.
Yeah, I know.
But
That's cool.
their COCast stuff is really clean. But yeah, they did this really big dragon, and it's super impressive.
Okay.
So, I don't know if it's a display piece, but it's
big.
you can display it.
Okay.
Anything's a display piece, right? Put it on your kitchen table.
Do you feel like the Dungeon Delvers Kickstarter campaign is kind of like weighing you down at this point?
No, yes and no. Yeah, I guess it kind of a little bit.
Yeah.
It's mainly just like we hit a wall with this size problem where we didn't really know what we could do with the COCasts, and so we got them, and then we started producing. We've produced like 98% of the models. They're done. They're just waiting to ship. The rest we have to get made somewhere else because they're too big. So we're making them out of resin, which is close enough to COCast. It's just fine. It's just it's costing us more money than we expected, and we obviously aren't going to put that onto the customers. We have to eat that cost, so that's frustrating. But we don't want to diminish what we promise people, so we're just making sure that we deliver the same size that we told them. It's just taking a little bit more time. So
Okay.
once that's done, though, that's like 89,000 miniatures shipped.
That's a couple of miniatures.
Yeah, just a few.
Yeah. The warehouse I saw, there's just like boxes and stacked on boxes and boxes.
John,
So if you're waiting on your Dungeon Delver Kickstarter,
They're there, I promise.
I probably stole it already.
yeah, we showed all the boxes. It was like, all right, one of these.
You gotta get it on the plane though. I don't know how that's gonna work.
You can have anyone's job here. Which job would you take, John?
Anyone's job?
I mean, the obvious answer is studio painter, but I kind of feel like I want to be the videographer.
Oh, you can have that job.
Dude, because that guy was talking about, he showed me some of the shots he got in the trailer for the new Kickstarter campaign for Ribbonstone. And he was like, somebody trying to take 4 hours to set up and get it. I'm like, I'm here for that. Like, I don't want to spend that long on
For
making
one
a shot.
sweet shot.
Yeah.
Panning across the minis and the smoke and the beaming lights.
Yeah, like the lightning effects.
Yeah.
And the background. It was,
That's wild. He said it's all practical effects too.
Yes.
No CGI bullshit.
Yes. Yeah, it's all like robots moving the cameras and everything.
It's the real Jurassic Park dinosaurs in here. Not After Effects.
Yeah. Obviously, I'd paint as a hobby, but that'd be a cool job to have.
Yeah, I really like where Jordan's doing like all the stuff for the box arts, for all the stuff that's being showcased, like him, going full ball sack on that stuff. It looks pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I would like to do that, but I also want to be train maker guy. Like,
Train maker?
Train maker.
Oh.
No, train maker. I make the trains.
Yeah.
You guys see the train department?
Whole other room, dude. HO scale.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I would, because their boards here are like legit crazy awesome. As we saw at Adepticon, like that board, playing on that board just felt so freaking sweet. So to be able to like take my time and design and consult with the art team and like make it a reality of a board that's like, that this board won, and someday people are gonna be able to play on it, but it's also like a piece of art as much as the mini. So I would do
that
that.
board breaks down to 5 pieces for travel.
Yeah, look
Which
at
is
that.
dope.
That's engineering. I don't know if I'm qualified for this job.
So, I'm kind of curious about how Broken Anvil came to be. Like, why miniatures? Why are you into miniatures?
Yeah, that's a tough one. So we have a different company. We make statues and collectibles.
Yeah.
And in 2020, people stopped buying those things because COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So what we did is we're like, well, they don't want to buy these expensive statues. We all like toys and collectibles. What can we do? And we had Michael Jenkins on board. Michael Jenkins is a sculptor. He was sculpted for Steam Forged, and he did a bunch of stuff for Hate. And
Yes. I love all of these things right now.
And then he worked at Privateer Press for a long time. And he was like, why don't we do miniatures? Like, it makes sense. You have a miniature sculptor on staff. Like,
Right.
we can make miniatures. And so we just started fucking around with miniatures. And actually, some of the first things for Rivenstone were done in like mid to late 2020. Not by Michael, though. We actually hired a different sculptor named Brian Dugas, who also worked at Privateer. He did a bunch of the Troll Bloods.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And he came up, he did some stuff for us, and we sold the one you painted, Sir Tournevier,
Yes.
and Nightblade LaCroix, I believe was his name.
Okay.
Those were test minis at a different scale than what Rivenstone is right now. Rivenstone's 35mm heroic. That was 45mm heroic.
Yeah.
Kind of big.
Yeah.
Those things sold out.
Yeah.
Like that.
Mm.
We had no presence at all for Broken Anvil, and people just loved it.
Yeah.
And we're still getting requests today for those models.
Did you say they were limited edition somewhere?
Yeah, we only made like 100 of each.
Okay.
Like that. And then we just sold through, and we're like, don't make it anymore because we're not doing that scale. It didn't work. And then we hired.
Why not? Why did you choose not to do that if it sold so well?
It's not my fault. I'm gonna make it bigger. I'm gonna blame this on Oz. Oz is gonna kill me. Oz Schoonover. It's his fault. Damn it.
We met Oz at Adepticon.
Yeah. So he was the first game designer we hired, and he convinced me to drop the size just because his mindset was like, if people buy your game, some of them are going to buy it for the game. They want to buy it for the minis, and 45 mil is can't use it. Nobody has like terrain or anything for 45 mil. So
Yeah.
It's a good argument.
yeah, he convinced me, but I wanted like 54.
You want like G.I. Joes from the 90s?
Oh, those little
Yes.
action figure.
Yeah.
Yes, I have some of those in like a bucket somewhere.
Because I come from statues.
Oh,
I
I
love
this is the opposite.
bigatures. That's what we want.
Bigatures.
Bigatures.
Well, we could get there.
Oh,
Maybe the
we're
next
getting-
Kickstarter.
We got some stuff coming through.
It's like the size of a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the burrito I ate earlier.
That burrito is taco.
Shout out to Taco.
Shout out.
Yeah, Taco Dude's way more stars than fucking Dairy Island. And, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so you started off with statues. You dipped your toes in with miniatures. That seemed to work well. What made you decide? Was the next step Dungeon Delvers, I guess?
Yeah, it was. So we wanted to just do something. We're like, let's make a bunch of miniatures. Let's make some physical stuff. But we also saw the COCast machine.
Mhm.
We were like, how do we want to raise funds to get that machine? Because that's going to be awesome for making miniatures. And we have a bunch of behind-the-scenes stuff of product lines that we want to make, like D&D lines and things like that. And we're like, this can do it. This can make this easy, right? So we just made a bunch of miniatures and then offered up STL in physical form. And that was it. And it was like 77 miniatures, I think. And we did that. That was really slow. That took us 3 months. And now, I know, which is crazy, because that sounds like
89,000 miniatures.
No. I meant the sculpting of
the
77 took a long
Okay.
time. Because right now,
That's
through our Patreon,
amazing.
we can do over 50 in less than a month with our current staff.
Yeah, I mean, that is insane. Yeah, did you have a number on how many miniatures you made in like 2020, or you have like a figure?
Oh yeah, well, for the first year of Broken Anvil's Patreon existence,
Yeah.
right? So that was, I don't think we started until 2021, because April was our first year. So it was April 2021 that we did the first month of Patreon. We've done over 600 miniatures. Yeah.
It's wild. And it's like they have a distinct like art style, art design. Things feel like they live in the same universe. It's not like, I got a goblin this week. It feels way more realistic, but the orcs feel way more cartoony. It's like, no, they all feel like they live in the same world. So it's like, it kind of makes sense to me now, the size of your team, to keep things consistent and to bring out that amount of quantity of things and keep your standards up. Because otherwise, I would just like, I can't see making so many models and eventually the train falls off the tracks just because you can't keep that up.
It's not easy. Yeah, for sure.
Do you think that, because that feels like, well, you probably know this more than Scott and I because you're in the industry and you keep an eye on all this kind of stuff. That seems to be, it's like an arms race with Patreon STL companies. And
A little bit.
that it's like, who can bring out the most stuff, who can bring out like the most eye-catching stuff, who can grab the attention for the X amount of dollars that are in the market for any given thing. Like, where do you see that going, and do you want to be there when it goes there?
I think it's gone where it's going to go. So right now, I think that it's very oversaturated. There's a lot of, like, if you go to My Mini Factory, you don't even know where the hell to start. There's thousands of creators. And that's the other problem, too, is, like, none of this is curated, so it's Patreon. Anyone could start one. Doesn't matter. But the problem is, like, they all pay for advertising. They all put themselves in front of you, so you don't really know what to choose. And now with thousands of them, and some of them are I mean, there's definitely, like, upper echelons of quality, and then there's that middle bracket where you're like, yeah, it's okay. And there's so many not great ones that just kind of flood that My Mini Factory area. So in my opinion, I think we've reached that, like, the precipice of, this is what it is. You have your one percenters like the Artisan Guild, Archvillain, Titan Forge. Then you have like this block in the middle where we kind of fall as well. It's like the 1,500 patrons and above, and then you have just thousands of, like, they'll get 30 patrons or 100 patrons or something, and it's not going to get any better until that falls off, until those people stop, because a lot of those are like they're individual sculptors, which I think is awesome. I 100% commend, like, you working for yourself, doing what you want to do. But the problem is, like, at some point you've got to recognize, like, you're not going to get traction because you can only make, unless you're Andrea from Artisan Guild, which I don't know how the fuck he does it. Sorry, but, like, he makes so many models a month, and then he does all the, like, the rendering and everything, and that's all him, and I think his girlfriend. That's it. Just those two people doing all of that. That's impressive. But most people will do, like, 5 or 6, which is good, but if you're charging $7, Broken Anvil is $7, and we provide you with, like, 40 plus miniatures and a map and some stat cards, like, it's hard to compete with the bigger ones. So until the small ones start falling off again, I don't think it's going anywhere. But realistically, I don't know if we want to be in Patreon forever, because it's tough. It's a huge toll on our guys and gals, everybody here. That monthly stress of, like, we gotta get all this stuff out and ready. It's not fun, to be honest. Like, it was, and it's starting to get that, like,
the newness is worn off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm actually kind of in that same vein. What are some hardships of owning a miniature company? Obviously, that Patreon, keeping up that hustle.
Yeah,
that's definitely one or something.
Well, for me, it's learning the community, to be honest, like, in what you guys want, because everyone's different, right? And there's so many popular things out there. And while I think you can carve your own path, that's one way of doing things. It's also trying to figure out, like, well, what should we be making? What do people want to see? I think that's a difficult one. Weighs on me all the time. It's like, is that thing we're making gonna hit with people, especially with Patreon. That's a hit or miss, hit or miss. We'll make 1 month where it's cool owl folk and rabbit folk, and people go crazy for it, and then we'll make another month, and they'll be like elves, and nobody cares. Nobody nobody cares at all.
So the key to success is anthropomorphic miniatures.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah.
Well,
It's been crazy.
Yeah.
Those fox people. I got all sorts of ideas for animal people.
Do you?
Yeah.
Chris, if you want to contract
Is it taking an animal and then making a human?
squirrel
out of it?
people.
Yeah.
Boom, squirrel people.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
You gotta put kin at the end of it, so
Kin.
Squirrel kin.
Molekin.
Okay.
Ratkin.
Newt's kin.
And to be clear, I love what we do. I love that part of it, but yeah, it gets a little like
Right.
just trying to figure it out every month. Like,
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I get it. It's like you get excited about an endeavor, and maybe you kind of just stretch a little too far, and then it's just I do that all the time. I promise more work than I'm capable of doing instead of my time, and I suffer for it, and I have to like figure it out, and it's all on me. So I understand.
yeah, with the Patreon too, you can only go so far, right? Like,
Yeah.
we make some minis, we deliver them, and that's it. And I don't like that. There's no like. For us, there's no permanent attachment to those miniatures because we're like, as soon as we deliver, on to the next month, we move on. I don't like that. I want to develop lore and some richness to what we're making so that people get attached. Like, if we're making 40 miniatures, I want a story, I want a world, I want maybe a little mini game people can play with their miniatures.
It's a throwaway.
Yeah.
It's like on to the next thing, like whatever. Throw it on the deep sea of my mini factory. Like, they're gonna find it.
I would rather take 6 months off of Patreon and develop another Dungeon Delvers that includes 200 miniatures and a full adventure campaign and custom stuff that's different.
Right.
That'd be really fun.
I never thought about that. How just like fast we move on from each month of Patreon.
And most people don't even print the models.
Oh no.
Yeah,
They'll
they just have a
pick
huge
one.
collection.
Right? They'll print one and then they just save
That is a shame,
hundreds of them.
I will tell you from all of my friends that are back multiple 3D printing Patreons, it's like collecting baseball cards.
Yeah.
They collect them to download all the files for future use because they like what they are.
Mhm.
But they don't really print anything.
They don't need all of them, right?
No, or they print like one thing for a D&D game. We've used your stuff for our D&D games for monsters and all that kind of stuff. And Dungeon Delvers, your Dungeon Delver stuff is regularly because I did a sponsorship and he gives me a bunch of Dungeon Delver stuff and paint it up and we play with that in our D&D games. But I think there's a big part of that too. It's like if I get the physical thing, I have actually taken down one of my barriers to satisfaction. And satisfaction from the consumer standpoint is seeing the thing in the way I imagined it that led me to purchase in the first place.
Yeah.
And the actual act of printing it all out and all the headaches that comes with 3D printing and the mess and the time and everything and the quality, like all of that, we could take that all away. I mostly just want Chris to make a whole bunch more minis that I can just buy.
Yeah.
Well, that's from our point of view too. Like the one thing that really chaps my hide.
Grabs my gears.
Chaps my hide. I don't like the fact that I can't control quality on the prints that people do. And that sounds really obsessive. And weird,
I totally get it, yeah.
Like some people will print on a really nice machine, they'll show it off on Instagram, you're like, that's gorgeous, great. And another person will print it and you're like, did you use that a potato? That sucks. And it's like, it makes me feel bad for them because they're not experiencing like the full depthness of our sculpt or whatever it may be. And then I feel bad for, my staff who like, they see it and they're like, oh man, I want it, like paint job's cool, but it's just layer lines. That sucks. But if we do it physically and we send out a model, we know. It's perfect. There you go. It's what we can give you.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a question for the room here. Is buying STLs like baseball cards any different than buying miniatures and not painting them? Just putting them away?
At least I get to look at my preciouses.
My precious.
And you can resell them.
Hey, that's true.
You can't really resell the STL.
You totally can't.
You should.
Oh, you shouldn't. Oh, selling a lot of LCL cards, downloaded over the course of 7 years, 8,000 plus files, $50.
This was all a setup to get Scott to admit to buying secondhand STLs in the internet.
I'm out of here.
I found a guy on Telegram, whatever the hell it is. I'm too old.
Sounds like an app.
It's like a WhatsApp thing. who is selling. So he downloads all of the STL files from everybody and sells them in a big pack for a monthly fee of $30 a month. And it's like 18,000 miniatures in there. I'm like, you suck. You suck.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Is there stuff in there?
Yeah.
Can you make this person stop?
Nope.
Why not?
What are you going to do? He's in Russia somewhere on the back end of Telegram.
Hey man, make his life suck. Make it hard for him
Probably
to
already
commit
does.
business.
That's why he's doing these horrible, miserable things.
Yeah, okay, that's some insight.
Well, maybe if he is in Russia, he can't take money anymore. His bank account just needs internationally. Maybe he can't do it.
I hope
So,
so.
so that's terrible. That's so weird that well, I just think about that, but I've never really talked to a miniature company owner to talk about like recasting and stuff. And in a 3D printing sphere, this is your version of recast.
It is, and I hate it.
Yeah.
I see it all the time, man. I see, like, fortunately, there's a lot of really cool people out there. So I had someone just recently who was selling Dungeon Delvers prints on Etsy, and we don't have a commercial license for that. Like, I told people that that's a no-go, right? He didn't know that. He bought them from my manufacturer. He's one of our Patreon merchants. So I messaged him, and he was like, I'm so sorry. Here's how many I sold. Do you want me to pay you? And I was like, no, it's fine. I just wanted to know and just shut it down. And he was like, no problem. But then you have other people who will just ignore you until you get Etsy to shut them down, and then they start a new one up because they're dicks.
Yeah.
So,
Dang.
yeah.
So the hours of your day or week or month that get sucked away instead of focusing on the cool thing and helping your team where they need help, you're dealing with this. I mean, this is like we all in our day-to-day work, whatever we do for work, there's always that part of it that sucks that you wish you didn't have to do. And this sounds like a pretty shitty thing to have to do.
Yeah, luckily it's a small part because generally I look at it and go, I can't do anything. So I just ignore it. Move on. Yeah.
Is there any world where you would take these old STL designs and make physical models out of them at some point?
That world exists, my friend. Yeah, we plan to. So,
Wait,
yeah.
right now it does?
yeah. So it's already in the works. We were thinking about doing
Lie to me.
No. We're thinking about doing a like a Reaper Bone style thing with a lot of our Patreon minis, where we can make cheap plastic minis for really, really cheap.
Yeah.
Give you a big bundle.
Okay, nice.
Something like that. We're also considering doing so the Patreon's in limbo a little bit. Sorry for the patrons out there that don't know that yet. But we don't know if we're going to continue after the next couple months because we just have other stuff we're doing. But one way we might keep it alive and different is a physical Patreon, where we're producing about 15 models for somewhere between $25 and $40. You just give us the money, we give you the minis.
It's like a monthly mini box.
Yep, and it will be limited. And I know those exist, but
Not that many though.
no. And the cool part about this is it's different minis that we make every month. Like I've seen a lot of those boxes where they gather minis from other companies,
Right.
Put them in a box, send them to you.
Dude, what if one of the minis in the box is limited edition and the rest you just kind of can buy as individual blisters and you get it at like a little bit of a discount?
Yeah.
And you get the limited edition one.
Nobody else will ever get ever.
It's a physical model, so it feels cooler than an STL.
We're making you millions of dollars right here.
Yeah.
You better be taking notes.
Done.
He's already thought of this. Yeah, he's like,
No, we've been toying around with how we can do that. So it's we don't want to do anything physical until we deliver Dungeon Delvers.
For sure.
I mean, Rivenstone launches next week, but that delivery's down the road. So the idea is that we won't sell any new physical product that we can deliver right away until Dungeon Delvers out the door. Once that's out the door, though, we have so much shit that we're working on that we're super excited about.
At least that's cool that it sucks as the Dungeon Delver backers that you're kind of sitting in this holding pattern.
Yeah.
And as
It's a second holding pattern, actually.
holding pattern. What is he out? We got in the Air Force or something?
Yes. Holding pattern.
we got the storage crate holding pattern. We got the sitting in the Bay of Pigs holding pattern.
Two barrel.
We got and are all the stuff that you're waiting on, is that in the United States now?
Not yet. It'll be here in May.
Okay, so at least is on the horizon. But I'm trying to, on the bright side here, because the things that you're waiting on, or that the backers are waiting on, are not actually things that you could be doing because you've done all your things. Right. That leaves your team to focus on other awesome work. Obviously, one of those things is Rivenstone, and then it sounds like you got some other cool stuff that's coming down the pike as well. So
Yes, sir.
So that's cool.
Okay, so we talked about some of the hardships of being a miniature company owner. What's like your favorite thing about being a miniature company owner?
Oh my God,
Or several things.
it's the creative process.
Yeah.
So it's just like getting together with people, talking about fun stuff we can put in the game, new miniatures we want to make, seeing like art come in from our 2D artists that's one of my favorite things in the world. Just like, because we hired really creative people, and when you let them kind of like do their thing, you get really cool results. So
Yes.
it's just that.
Yeah.
I love the creative process.
Yeah, you were showing us some demons yesterday,
Yeah.
and they were pretty unique. They weren't like typical, like, I got fangs and claws. And they were definitely different looking.
Yeah.
So that shows.
Super fun.
And I also think that being able to see at the end of the day a physical thing, there's some maker aspect of like our whole team came together, and at the end, this thing, we have a thing, right?
Oh, it
That's
happens
pretty cool.
every time we make a new mold, and we get it balanced. We push the first mini out of the CO cast. Like it's always that moment. We're like, oh, that's so cool. Oh, we got it. We got this thing.
Peel that mold off. I also saw, this is totally off topic, I saw a CO press in your casting room. That's a CO press.
That's how you make the molds. So you build the molds, and then you put them in a frame, and the frame goes into the press, and they get vulcanized in the press.
So when you make, so when you talk about the price of CO cast, it was like a figure like 60 to 80K.
Yeah.
Right? Does that include both machines?
Just one machine.
No.
Yeah, and then
but you need the other one. You need
on
it.
top of that.
Right?
Oh no, you meant the CO press and the machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you first buy into it, it can be anywhere from 60 to 100K. It just depends on where you are and all the other factors.
The holding pattern.
But generally you get like this starter package, which has your press, your frame, a considerable amount of material as well to start, and then silicone. But then the next time you buy a machine, you don't have to buy all that stuff. You just buy a machine, and that's like 60 to 80K.
Okay. Interesting.
You guys have two.
We have
two machines.
Okay, cool. All right. I want to know about your experience in the hobby itself as an individual. You're telling me a story when you were younger, and then a different story later on in life.
Yeah. I've been into nerdy stuff my whole life. Comic books, D&D, Magic the Gathering when I was really young. And just, I like cartoons. I fucking love cartoons.
Cartoons.
Wizards.
This guy. Cartoons, dude.
Cartoons, man. So I've always loved it. And like when I was young-ish, HeroClix came out.
Yeah.
I'm a Marvel Comics fan. So
People still play that. I know a guy at a Song of Ice and Fire now who plays HeroClix.
I bought into way more HeroClix than I ever should have. Like I was buying them by the crate. Like it was crazy.
Yeah.
And then I noticed at the comic store 40K. And I was like, these are cool. These are different. These guys look like they kill things. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And unfortunately, I went up to try to play with the dudes that were up there, and they didn't want me to play with them. So it was an immediate like, all right, fuck it, I'm out. And I never saw it again for years. I just ignored it. It wasn't on my radar.
Yeah.
And then, in like 2020, really, like people started showing me more stuff, showing me how cool the hobby was, showing me all the different games, and then I went, oof. Just head first, and I haven't come back up for air. So
I
have way too many minis.
Yeah,
too many minis.
That's awesome.
The well is deep.
Yeah,
drink your fill.
It's gross.
Do you think
it tastes like hot sauce?
Guys, shut up! I'm being serious.
Oh, okay, be serious now.
Do you think that if those people were more inviting, that Broken Anvil would have happened sooner, or a version of it?
Yes, I think so.
You hear that?
You jerks.
You're listening to this episode, you definitely aren't.
No, and so that's the thing too, like, I don't have there's no ill will towards those guys, because I kind of understand where they're coming from. Like,
there's ill will.
Well,
from me.
I was really big into music when I was younger. And that was always kind of a thing that I had to grow out of, was like, I would find people who liked the same music as me, and maybe they weren't into the other stuff I was into, so I'd want them out of that. Like, you don't need to like the music I like. That's dumb. Like, that's for me. It's my special thing. And same thing with D&D. That was always like, as soon as that started to become really popular, there was a little bit of irritation where I was like, oh, what, now the jocks like D&D? Hey, come on.
Yeah.
But then you have to really think about it. You're like, no, that's a good thing, because the more people that adopt the thing, the more money can go into the thing, and the more experiences we can have, the more products we can have.
Yep.
And so, whilst they were being protective of something they love, they probably just thought someone would troll them or whatever, because people come to play games because of, tons of different reasons.
Okay.
Some might be they don't have a lot of friends, and they find friends there, and then that's their thing, and that's beautiful. But I may have not been that guy they wanted to be friends with, so like, get out. This is our thing.
Okay.
And I think I might have been into minis earlier in life, for sure, but that's okay. I'm into it now.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. No looking back, right?
No.
Or maybe if he does play that game that day, Broken Anvil never exists.
Oh yeah. So you can't really ask that question. Yeah.
It's a multiverse question.
Yeah, because if you got it early and then you got into 3D printing, he'd have been younger and he would have drank the liquid resin.
Yes.
Could I do that?
Yeah, people do that, right?
I think that's what was actually in that hot sauce. Now that I think about it, just red resin.
Earlier you were looking at a fucking window.
No.
John, well, like I've been doing an interview and he walks up and puts his forehead in the window. I was like, okay, that's funny. And he starts licking the window. What the fuck are you smoking, bro?
We haven't cleaned those windows yet.
Yeah, that's what they said through the glass. They're like, we haven't cleaned those yet. And I was like, schnozberries taste like schnozberries, dude. I don't know. Seemed like a good idea at the time. Okay, so nobody that plays 40K likes Chris. We've established.
Well, you know why I can't name any chapters.
Oh, right. Yeah, well, the Blood Eagles.
And I hopped on the table and was like, can I play with my Trash Bros?
Trash Bros
on the table. I thought that's what you're supposed to do. It looked like grass.
Right. It's like, I'm a 1-to-1 size Warlord Titan. I just walk over the table.
I knew the rules.
Yeah, these are the rules.
So you're into game development. Or you Rivenstone.
Yeah.
And
I'm not. I have people that do that.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a hard time letting go of things creative. Really anything.
Yeah.
And so when I collaborate, it's very difficult for me to make a miniature, right?
Sure.
So I imagine as a company owner with a vision about what you want your product to look like, you have to make concessions a lot. Because you don't have time. Tell everyone, no, revision. Here's my notes. You gotta be like, okay, name the orc Hobart.
Dwarf.
Dwarf is named Hobart.
Yeah,
Orc is
like this is not a hill that I have to die on.
I've died on some hills.
Some?
Yeah.
I feel like you have to die on many hills.
Not on Hobart's Hill, though.
No, I did die on murder birds.
Murder birds.
How many concessions do you have to make? What's your concessions per day?
What's your CPD? My CPD is a mini. But I think that's part of being a director is you have to trust the people you bring on to do their job.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Like if I don't like something, that doesn't mean that thing's not good. I have my own proclivities, and sometimes they don't mesh with everybody else. But I think there are sticking points, like I mentioned, murder birds earlier. That was a name we had for those little pterodactyl birds that ride around with the oryx when we first started making Rivenstone. We just didn't have a name for them, so we just said they're murder birds, and that stuck, and people got attached to it. And then we started to make the cards, and I was like, no, we have to change that. They're not murder birds. And our game designer Will was like, no, but murder birds is awesome. Like, yeah, I get it, but it's not in world. Doesn't make any sense. Like, come on, let's come up with a name. So we named them Carniterix.
That's still
it's fine, but we have people in the Discord that call them murder birds still. And that's a thing. They're like, no, they're fucking murder birds.
Yeah,
let it go.
Yeah. Sure.
But that was a hill I died on, and it was one of those I did it because it just had to be done. However, I understand the other side of it. So had they fought, Will's gonna hate me now because he should.
No, don't say it.
He'll know my secret. If he fought a little bit harder, I would have been like, yeah, it's fine.
It's fine.
The thing is, you've sealed your own fate now because you talk about it on the podcast.
Every time.
And now everyone's going to call them murder birds.
I was on the Barracks Action podcast a week or so ago, and I spilled every bean. All beans. Every bean on the table.
You don't have any more beans?
I have 0 beans.
Oh, no.
All beans were gone.
Oh, beans.
Yeah.
There was beans available at the smoke show.
What?
Hot roast. The lunch thing that we showed up.
Okay. Words.
Moving on.
Smoke show.
Smoke show. Okay. We are in Washington State.
Yes.
So, I was going to say something important. Okay. So, do you feel that you sometimes make concessions because you want to empower the employees too? Does it feel like if you feel like at the end of the day you have to sign off on everything, that you kind of like killing their design, drive, and artistic vision too?
Yeah, I think that's wildly important, is that people understand their value, and you have to show that all the time. The biggest thing here, though, is that I trust the people that we've brought on.
Right,
I brought them on for a reason.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're good at what they do. They're better at what they do than me. That's why I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And so I much prefer that I can take a backseat approach almost and hop in when I'm needed or when I want to. Like if it's a lore discussion, I'm interested in it. Yeah, I want to be a part of it. But there's some like game design stuff I don't want anything to do with it because I'm just going to muddy the water up.
Yeah.
I'm going to make it worse for them and not let them do their job efficiently. So
Yeah, I went to a lesson one time where I was designing a shirt and I had artists working with me, and I posted it on Patreon, an early rendition of it, and I was like, what do you guys think? And they kind of gave me opinions. And then I shared those opinions with the artist, and he was like, wow, I can't really design this by committee. And I was like, whoa, I've never thought of it that way, but it's like, yeah, how is he going to please everybody? I'm an idiot. And so in that same vein, it's like, if I just take the rule set for Rivet Center onto everyone in the office, it's like, what do you think? You're going to get like 8 different responses, right? So certain people should be in charge of making decisions about gameplay, about molding and casting, about engineering and shit. And certain people just, don't.
well, what's great though too is if you're working with professionals, like they'll set all that up. So we'll set up the rules, Faye developed them, then we play.
Mhm.
And then they listen to your feedback.
Right.
And they treat it as valid,
Right.
even if they're like, you barely played games.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's my biggest fear. Like, I don't have a lot of gaming experience.
Mhm.
So I give them my initial feedback, but I'm like, take it with a grain of salt because I don't fucking know. This is just my experience.
Sure.
But they'll listen to it and they'll make changes that they think is necessary and it's fluid.
Yeah, but not during the design process, right?
No, it's usually designed and then you develop.
Exactly.
So that's when you break the game and
Right.
then you fix it. You break it and fix it, break it.
You got to give someone the opportunity to present you a complete product or a version of a complete product.
Yeah. One thing that I learned yesterday I went around on Friday, and everyone was just like kind of sleepy in the afternoon after the barbecue. And so I was that usual like Friday mid-afternoon, not really giving it the old 100% in the old office. And so I'm like, great, it's a great opportunity for me to walk around and just talk to everybody. And I went over and talked to Faye. And Faye, I asked, some more details about what she does. And she says, I break the game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, your whole job is to break the game? She's like, yeah, I break it so we can fix it and make it better. I'm like, you got a whole person, Chris, whose job is to break the game and then make it better? I'm like, I feel like there's a lot of big companies that make games that don't have Faye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a lot. Usually you just have a designer.
Well, they just don't pay them. They're like volunteers and like they're glorified employees.
Yeah. But that was really cool. That was really cool. And she's obviously passionate about it. Like the totally different personality that I have and that attention to detail and that kind of stuff is just really cool. I saw everyone around this office, there were so many crazy personalities and unique people. But it was like there was a common thread amongst all of them is this place. And I told you this yesterday, like this place kind of feels like a family. Like everybody, like there's a weird uncle, okay? There's a weird uncle, but we all still love him, even though he's kind of drunk all the time. but like everyone's like they just like meld together well when they need to go and check with somebody from a totally different department, nothing to do with what they do. They still will get their heads together and work on stuff. And it was really weird almost in here because I spent a lot of my life in an office setting, and this is like an office setting. It's like a group of a traveling carnival, and they took a shop in an office building.
You just call us carnies?
Yeah, I love it. On BA right now.
Well, yeah.
Like he's sitting right there in this fucking building.
Yeah, Broken Anvil carnies.
Carnies are cool. Carnies
Yeah,
are cool.
BAC.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And we have a name for it. So the Discord,
Carnies. Yeah.
it's Bamley.
Bam!
Yeah, it's cute.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. The Broken Anvil.
It's just Bamley. Like family.
Right. Oh no, I get it. Okay. Fine.
We don't got
You don't understand. You
We
don't
got
get this
this
reference.
Just let them get
Okay.
it.
I thought. Okay, I'd call it the Baffley. Wait, no, that doesn't make any sense. There's an M in family. The F is in the beginning, and you replace it with a B. I'm just working it out in my head right now.
It's okay.
Just change the one letter.
Yeah,
Just the one.
Right, yeah. So I know when I worked in my job as a software engineer, we had this whole workflow. Like you would do 1 week sprints, you'd be assigned tasks. Do you have a similar workflow like that? Do you use some people tasks in an application like Jira, and then like
Gojira.
have a meeting at the end?
No, we do a lot of meetings. We do a lot of like task assignments, but it's a little more fluid than that because there's so many moving parts, and we're getting better and better about like the team growth has been insane. So over the last year and a half, we went from I think 7 people to 35 plus. Right, I think it's where we're at right now, like just under 40 or something like that.
Okay.
So it's been a lot of like, okay, we got to get systems in place, and like what we generally do is we figure out we'll work, we'll do stuff, and when something breaks down, communication, we'll fix it. And then we'll put systems in place to then move forward. So right now we're in that, like, we just built the game and it took almost 2 years. How do we do better the next time?
Retrospective.
Or for the next expansion for the game, like Wave 2 or Wave 3, how do we make this process better?
Yeah.
Right.
You need Jira.
Sure.
You need tasks. No, I'm just kidding. I hated that shit.
On a
I mean, it's
whiteboard.
not necessary. Yeah, I mean, that is...
It's not a whiteboard,
That's the
dude.
physical version.
With sticky notes.
Of Kanban board.
That actually helps a ton.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I'm all about this.
The physical representation. I like that. I want to Kanban. Oh, God, that just makes me vomit thinking about we had Kanban.
I know. I made I triggered like 18 people by saying Kanban.
Trello.
Yeah, Trello. Yeah. I love Trello. I used to love for my own channel.
We're gonna adapt or adopt Basecamp as well.
So you do have some kind of board.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have systems, but
The
we're
system
adding to those
is
systems.
down.
Are you a Strong Bad fan?
Oh
The coffee 386. Oh no, the cheese.
All right. Yeah, let's watch some Strong Bad.
yeah.
It's gonna be terrible, not funny at all.
No.
Because I watched it when I was a fucking like 10-year-old. I was like, this is the best.
It doesn't hold up.
I watched it in college and I thought it was funny then, so I think it's worse if I'm like, yeah, so good.
I think there's going to be moments. It's nostalgia, right?
Yeah, we're having fun right now.
Everybody loves things that are terrible when they're adults that they love when they were kids.
Yeah, it's like a movie. You know, you watch it and you're like, hey, this kind of shit.
Yeah. That's
Except Willow. Willow's great. Yeah, never-ending story.
Well, a lot of the 80s, especially like fantasy 80s, they hold up.
I love Never-Ending Story.
I'm getting a boner right now, boys.
Oh, boy.
I love fantasy 80s
That's
movies
my
so
favorite
much.
of all time.
It's so great.
Yeah.
Poor Atreyu getting lost in the Swamp of Sorrow. Rip Atreyu.
Bronies.
Also, can we talk about a horse named Atreyu? Metal band?
Yeah.
I think the horse came first.
The horse came first, yeah.
That's what the band is named after, yes.
Yeah, a horse in Never-Ending
That's also
Story?
not the that's not the horse's name.
Yeah,
It's
Atreyu's the kid's name.
Hold on.
Artax is
Artax.
the horse.
I thought that the horse's name was something else and the kid's name was Atreyu, then I watched it again and I thought I was wrong. The kid's name was Atreyu?
Yeah.
Okay, then
And the horse's name's Artax.
I'm an idiot. Okay.
It's okay.
That's okay.
Okay.
You should have been
Maybe the kid should have died and the horse lived.
Idiot brought the horse.
The horse goes through the gate. Doesn't get lasered.
He gets up to his sweatband waistband in mud and sinking, and then he's like, "Oh no!"
Yeah.
Like, bro, at ankle depth, you should be like, "This is getting deeper."
Yeah. And horses are heavy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
I'm a weak boy with noodle arms.
Yeah, we're done for.
Yeah.
No, actually, I'm cool.
Yeah, that movie in that moment broke many children, much me included.
Yeah, that's a rough point.
Should we just talk about 80s fantasy movies right now?
Sure.
Maybe like Beastmaster and Conan and Highlander and Dragon Slayer?
I want to go back to Willow.
Yeah.
We talked about Willow for a while.
Data. All right, can we go talk about Willow though? No, we're not talking about any of that shit.
Mad marketing.
You
Different
idiot.
podcast.
Yeah. Oh man, I would love that. So how often do you have to like work overtime on like weekends to like finish projects? Whether that's like Dungeon Delvers related, Patreon related, stuff like that. How often are you working past the 40 hours?
Personally or the team?
Both.
Personally, a lot, most of the time.
Yeah.
The leadership here tends to work. Yeah, the owners actually tend to work a lot.
Yeah.
16-hour days plus.
Yikes.
But I don't do that to the team. Like, very rarely have we worked overtime at all. Like, the only extra time really has been this move and a little bit for Rivenstone here and there, but not much. We try to keep them at 40 hours, and that's it. So,
And other than like when we're here on a weekend, Chris says you guys need to show up because Scott and John need to be entertained.
Yeah, I kind of feel like like half of them like hate us.
No. Sid's out there doing that sign stuff because we want to have that sign for the live stream for Rivenstone.
Yes,
So that's
I love that sign. It's on my Instagram story if you want to check it out. I mean, this episode will air far beyond after that thing expires. I'm like an idiot.
You go back in time. So yeah, no big deal.
Go back to
Oh, if you go to the Rivenstone Kickstarter page,
yeah.
you're probably going to have your game up there.
Yeah.
You'll see this. It's freaking crazy. It's like, it's just amazing. And it looks like real stone. And like the process of them making that and it like being perfect alignment to the logo is like, wow, this is pretty cool.
Yeah,
It's like movie props.
it is 100%. I feel like whenever I have a situation where I'm like working a ton, I feel like, man, I messed up somewhere earlier on in the process. Like, and I'm gonna change this for the future. So do you see a world where you aren't working 16-hour days, you're working 10-hour days, 8-hour days?
I love that world.
Is that a world you're actively trying to get to?
Yeah, so that all that takes is more people, right? So
Really?
the more people I can add to the team,
Or less
I can do
commitment?
more people.
Okay.
I will never be less committed.
Okay. I didn't mean like that. You know what I mean? Like, less product.
Screw it.
Yeah. No, I think it's just more people to take the hats off my head, right?
Yeah.
Wear too many hats. So once I get like if we had a business manager, that's half my job.
What would they do? What would a business manager do in this hobby?
Payroll. They can handle
HR.
Yeah, like
Or
just
yeah.
standard stuff. Talking
Okay.
to clients, like for example, if we do need like licensing agreements or stuff like that, I don't necessarily have to be the one talking in that situation.
Yeah.
It can be a business manager or someone else.
Okay.
But just removing those things from my plate lets me focus on the creative direction, which is really what I want to do. That's the part of this job that I love the most. So.
Interesting. Is there a title in a corporate business structure that would encapsulate that role? You know, it's like
Administrator?
a CFO,
Like a C-suite title?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. But that's fine. I don't
Yeah.
care about that. I just want to be the creative director.
Okay.
So,
Creative director.
You can have whatever title you want. Really.
pizza slinger.
Pizza slinger. A pizza slinger of the Trash Bros.
Yeah.
Yeah, the trash.
Trash Bros
Got
Pizza
it.
Slinger. It's on his plaque on his door up there.
I'll put it on there.
Trash
Next
Bros
time you
Pizza
guys
Slinger.
come back, that's going to be there.
Okay.
Pizza Slinger, the Trash Bros.
Right.
This is a fucking army now.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
it's gonna be a limited edition
Limited
character
edition.
in this.
It's such a punk thing. I feel like you're talking about trash later than Pizza Bros.
No. No. It's Pizza Slinger.
That's our-
Trash Bros.
that's our-
You're way off.
It's our
What did I
new
say?
game.
Yeah.
It's Trash Bros.
Trash Bros. It's the name of the game. It's like the Garbage Pail Kids from the 80s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Mixed with Smash TV.
You smashed it. Oh man, this feels like a universe I want to play in.
Yep. The
Okay.
garbage universe.
Yeah. Okay.
Garbage first.
Roar, and it's just like Pizza the Hut is one of the bosses. Except it's not pizza, it's garbage. Oh no. We're trying to drink out the trash. This game writes itself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
So
Copyright. Don't fuck.
Yeah, nobody's
Nobody's-
if we say copyright,
It's copyright.
it's legal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trademark,
Okay.
copyright, registered.
We have lawyers behind the cameras nodding their heads to us. Yes.
Right over there. Philip, Steven.
Yeah.
Yes.
Marcy.
Mhm.
There's Andrew as well.
Okay, we got the thumbs up from the legal team.
Yeah. Okay.
It's already in the works.
So you said-
Trash Bros TM.
You said the game took 2 years to make ish.
Just about. Yeah.
Were there phases of that, or were there many concurrent running things, or a mixture of those? Like, what was the early beginning? What was the middle part? What was the end part?
We brought on Oz in late 2020, and that was a start, and it hasn't stopped. So
Okay.
just boom.
So Oz was
Rule
the
development.
original like rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oz wrote the first form of the game, and then we brought on Hungerford. So Oz had to leave, take a job at Steve Jackson Games, working on Munchkin stuff.
Yeah.
Which is great. Super happy for him. But then he recommended Hungerford, so we brought on Hungerford, and then about a couple months later brought on Faye. But yeah, just back to back, just go.
Okay.
And there was only like a week where it wasn't being worked on. So
Okay. So rule development has gone on the entire 2 year period.
I say 2 years. I think that's an
Year and a
It's
half.
End of 2020 till now.
Okay. Yeah.
Which
So
is
that's
a
been
good
enough.
amount of time.
Miniature creation. When did that start in the process? Concept drawing. When did that start right away? Who had the vision for the game? Who was like, okay, I'm going to establish the feel of this world.
Yeah.
Whose job was that?
Well, and I know you want an answer, and I can't give it to you. So that a
Um,
lot of other companies, you will have like a guy.
Yeah.
It's like, this is my bird. I made this whole thing.
Right.
But they hired people to fill in all the spots, but that's his vision.
Yeah.
That's not where Ravenstone is.
Oh.
Ravenstone, it was something we came together as a team and were like, what do we want to make? What's important to us? So if you look at the aesthetic of Ravenstone, that's like you get feels, right? You get a little Final Fantasy, you get a little Warcraft, you get a little old school fantasy vibe with some twists and turns, right? That's something we talked about in depth. It's like, what do we want it to look like?
Yeah.
We pulled from artists that we love, like Joe Mad, who did a bunch of the like Battle Chasers comic book series.
Yeah.
He did all the old Warcraft artwork for the very like early conceptual phases for Warcraft, and a bunch of other stuff. And we like love that chunky armor look, the big thick lines, a somewhat like Eastern style, almost anime-ish looks and faces here and there, but really just like a robust looking character. That's what we wanted. And then lore-wise, we started developing that together as a team. And we're bringing on writers and people all the time for that. But it's all collaborative, every aspect of it. So not one person owns the vision of Rivenstone.
Okay.
Like I have just as much in it as Will or as Hannah or Brandon or anybody else here.
So how long did it take you to determine that vision? It was like a month-long process?
No, that's still going.
Ongoing.
Yeah.
You obviously had to have like a starting place so you could start with concept art management.
Yeah. So we brought on Chris Walton, who was an ex-concept artist from Privateer Press. He set a lot of look and feel of their games, War Machine Hordes. We loved his work. So brought him on to set the early tone, and then we started making miniatures almost immediately. Like started modeling that stuff really, really fast. So we've been doing that over the last year.
Okay.
So year and a half.
That's kind of wild. I could kind of see it now, but I would have envisioned it was a much more drawn out process because you have these small teams that can just, when they hand them the baton, they can go, and the team that handed them the baton can go back and work on something else. And like the wheel is always in motion, so you don't feel like everything needs to be taken from start to finish before you start the next faction or the look and feel of this environment or how terrain and all, like everything can be worked on like simultaneously, which is pretty cool. It also feels like probably juggling a million plates.
Yeah, but don't get me wrong, it's probably not the right way to do it. I'm sure there's more efficient ways to do this. And the biggest thing that we've learned is like, yeah, we've made a lot of mistakes. Like going back into like the early design of Rivenstone, we're sorting problems we found now that we implemented then aesthetically.
Yeah, it's a fluid
Problems
process.
that we're trying to change now.
Yeah.
But that's where like wave 2, wave 3, luckily we built into the lore like this idea of evolution. So as you move in time as players, right, wave 2, things start to look a little different and they feel better. Because the whole point of Rivenstone is you're emerging out of like 400 years storm. And now you're going to go hunt for Rivenstone. So you're like at, ground zero, right? So like the Iron Guard dwarves, they come out, they look a certain way because that's the armor they had this whole time being like underground. And now they're free to roam and trade again. So wave 2, we're going to have some slightly newer looking Iron Guard that
I really
have
like that.
traded with Shattered Empire, whatever, maybe adopting some of their technology so their armor looks similar but different, right? And that solves that problem where like we had maybe a design flaw in the first wave that we're not super happy with. We love what we made, but it could be better.
Wow.
And then we move into wave 2 and go, let's fix that. And then probably by wave 3, we'll notice something we didn't like in wave 2, and we can modify that and so on and so forth.
You
So
built a safety net into the lore for design.
it's nice.
The lore net.
The lore net. Wow. I love that. That's a great idea. I try to
It's
like that
fresh.
idea. That idea that there's a storm raging for 400 years and everyone stayed inside. I bet you got a lot of races hating a lot of other races, right? Because when you're isolated from people and you're not in community with them, you start to think of the enemy.
I think so. I think the thing we wanted to make sure we were a little bit different is that this game isn't about necessarily killing, like race against race or faction against faction. It's different perspectives. So like Shattered Empire has their goal for what they're using Rivenstone for. It's all focused around Rivenstone. I mean, you could really just remove any faction and they don't give a shit. They're like, it's Rivenstone. That's what we care about. And their motivation to either use it, defend it, destroy it, sell it, whatever it may be.
Eat it?
Yeah.
Did anyone eat it?
There is a race or a faction that will use it as like drugs. So they bring it in and they create like living artwork with it that you'll battle with.
Whoa, it's like
And like
mushroom crystals.
yeah,
They're called the Severe.
yeah, and no one not one any particular person's the bad guy. They always have their different motivations for what they want to do.
Definitely worse people.
Are they?
But they're I
won't
don't
touch
know if
people.
they're
Everyone's a hero in their own story, Scott.
yeah. So in this first wave though, you're seeing like these little snippets of what's there right now. So you get this little group of Shattered Empire that's ran by a guy named Belcroft, who's like a
I know that name.
very crazy technological spiritual leader who has a very hardcore agenda.
Cult. Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
dumb. We should have put the models on the table in front of us.
You put it on the screen, maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, on the screen. That's even
They're all gone. Yeah, I can't grab them.
All right,
Someone
all
took
right.
them.
You're going to play a game with them later.
Yeah, but then you have like Hobart, Cragdon, the dwarf.
Hobart.
His whole goal is to get as much Rivenstone as he can, right? That's their goal.
You're
And their little company of the Iron Guard dwarves. When I say company, it's really hard to describe to people. Like, that's not like a military company. That's a company.
Yeah, they're
like an LLC.
Yeah,
It's Iron Guard LLC. Like, it's their little group of.
They an S corp or a C corp?
Yeah, it's a little group of dwarves.
It's like Jimmy John's sandwiches.
They have OSHA and all that other stuff we gotta deal with. But they have a very specific purpose to gather Rivenstone and sell it. And there may be new dwarves that come in that have a different agenda with the Rivenstone, right? Same thing with the orcs. They want to destroy it because they don't think it's natural and that fucks everything up. And they don't want what happened 40 years ago to happen again. And then you have the Risen, which are technically like our heroes of the game.
Right? The undead people.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a good
smart
twist.
Smart game.
twist.
Smart game.
So when was that first Rivenstone model made? How long ago?
Well, the first one's actually in the game, I think early 2021, mid 2021, somewhere around there.
So you had prototype models made beforehand.
Yeah, we've been busting them out for a while.
Nice.
Our test Rivenstone models though was 2020.
Okay.
So, and those guys haven't made it back in the game yet. We have a version of LaCroix that made it back in, but Tornavir's still not in there.
Tornavir.
He will. He'll come back.
I painted Tornavir for the video called something about color theory and being a dingus.
It was yellow and purple. I think
Yeah,
he was
yeah,
purple.
yeah. It was like, oh, stop using color theory like dingus. People took issue with that title. It was like, you can't be mean to people. I was like, I used the word dingus. Like, come on. It's like the most harmless insult ever.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. I think that video did pretty well, too.
Does it just mean someone who doesn't know something?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's just funny sounding.
We can ask Siri. Siri, what does dingus mean?
Don't do it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't want Siri.
She never answers when we actually need her.
Get Siri out of this podcast.
Siri, go home.
All right. So we've talked a lot about, we kind of, you shared a lot of secrets with us. So plug your stuff, man. What's Ravenstone? Where can people find it? Let them know. Let people know.
Small scale skirmish war game.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming to Kickstarter on the 26th. So I'm so nervous about that. It's crazy.
You did fine.
We're excited. We're nervous. It's cool. We're really we're stoked.
The good news is, Chris, by the time the Goody PBs are watching or listening to this, it's already past the 26th.
I know.
It's already past. The
So
launch
we're
went
gonna act
great.
like it's in the future.
The launch
It's
went
been
great.
awesome. People love it. It's
We hit $1 million.
Oh my god! Don't say that. That's gonna. Oh,
Oh, jinxed it.
$30 million.
shit out of it.
$500 trillion. We're going to the moon.
That's what the stretch goals were saying. Broken Anvil on the moon.
No, so I'll tell you an internal bet that was made. I told everybody. So we have this little bet of like, what are we gonna make? What is the realistic funding for this? And someone was like $1 million. Like, it's not gonna happen. Stop it. It's a skirmish war game. It's never happened. It's not gonna happen right now. And they're like, it'll happen. I was like, you know what? If it happens, I'll eat a goddamn shoe. So I told him I need a leather shoe or boot if we hit $1 million.
Can you live stream it?
Oh, we will absolutely live stream it, and I will 100% eat that shit.
No.
Eat that boot.
Wouldn't they fuck you up?
I don't care. I don't care.
I'm gonna
You have
die
to
for this.
commit. You have to commit to the bit. It's part of it.
You get to pick the shoe, though. If you get to pick the shoe.
I'm gonna go full
Is it
natural
big
leather.
boot?
Yeah, I thought about that because that'd be really funny if I came out like I got this 1 scale boot, bitches. No, it's gonna be a full boot. And I got to make sure I find one that's like full leather. I'm gonna pull the glue off of it because I'm gonna eat glue. I'm not,
Size 8?
not an animal.
Size 10?
Size
Size
one of
14?
my boots.
Size 14?
12.
Okay.
Size 12.
That's a lot.
That's
of
$1 million bucks. So that's hard to do with a skirmish war game. So
I mean, you just encouraged a lot of people.
that's why I'm bringing it. I love it. I would love that.
Yeah, you're like, are you kidding
Please
me?
make me eat a boot.
I'll fucking eat a boot for $1 million, whatever.
More so. It's a game. You guys are gonna love it. Cool miniatures.
Very cool.
It's got a lot of cool stuff in it. A lot of cool people have worked on it. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And time.
Stretch goals, early bird.
There are some stretch goals. Yeah, early birds we kept it simple. So it's you get a free set of terrain for your faction.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like $30.
The retailer tier.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, we're super game store friendly. We have a bunch of systems in place to help game stores. So
Excellent.
big deal. Yeah,
Thank you for sharing. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so go check it out. We will have the link down in the show notes.
RivenstoneGame.com.
To RivenstoneGame.com. A quick break in the action to let you know that this part of the podcast is brought by friend of the show, Goody PP Extraordinaire, and Twitch mini painter Impending Duff.
What is the Duff and why is it constantly impending? When does it get here?
It's the doom is coming.
Duff has worked hard to cultivate a single source on the internet for people to find all the hardest to get miniature products in one place.
Not only does he have the dirty down rust, verdigris, and moss paints that are sweeping the hobby world by storm, but he's also the exclusive United States retailer for the Dark Star Molten Metal range.
You want to get down and dirty?
Get a little dirty.
Check out the link in the description below or in the show notes if you're listening to the audio version of the podcast to check out the Dark Star Molten Metal range or any of the other goodies Duff has waiting for you at pennyduff.com. I think we were
Chris, you need to be way more excited for news. This is not
news!
Okay. There we go. All right. Let's circle the wagons.
Yeah. Okay, we got a new Underworld season called Nether Maze. I swear to God, there's a new season in Underworld every 4 months.
I was surprised that there's a whole new season already. Like the big base game. I was like, didn't they just release Nether Region Maze already or something?
I don't know.
Maybe 1/4.
Yeah.
1/4. No, but they keep putting out the individual boxes for the warbands.
Yeah.
I thought it was like one a year, but that maybe, well, I don't know.
The last one was October.
Okay, that's way quicker than 1 year.
It is. And like I feel like it's weird because he only saw like I think 2 to 3 new warbands. I don't know if that's normal.
Maybe this is part of it, but they're just releasing another set with still under the last one.
It's a new season.
That's why I say that.
Okay, Rick. Oh, what are you doing? John is definitely Rick in this relationship, but not in the mad scientist way. Just that I'm gonna get drunk and perfect. You got it. Okay, yeah. I mean, the rats, dude.
Those rats.
Have you seen these mounts?
No.
They're hot rats. They're hot
Really?
rat. You look at the Nether Maze Underworlds box, and it has all the minis in it. It's rats and elves, dark elves.
Dark elves. They look like ninja rats. They're
Dude.
very ninja sewer rats.
A couple good golden demon possibilities there. You found one that was great.
Yeah, dude. The dude that's like popping out of the smoke and shit.
Wait, there was smoke in there, dude?
That's what he's hanging from the air. The thing that's touching his foot is like a smoke bomb.
Oh, yeah. Correct.
Good.
Those are sweet rats, right?
Oh, the one on the tube.
Yes,
The tube rat?
Tube rat.
Oh, tube rat.
Yeah.
Holy shit! See at that guy.
I know, he's really running with the net.
Another thing I gotta buy. I'm not gonna paint.
I got my don't you know. But those yeah. I was shocked. That kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, the guys with the good rats.
The guys with the good rat.
Damn it. You know, get me with the good hot rat.
Yeah. And then the second thing you have here in the news, Danny from Miami did a video interviewing tournament players about 3D printed models, which I thought was a pretty interesting moment to ask that question because just that year, Adepticon kind of really restricted how many 3D models you could have in an army. Like there was no printed armies at Adepticon. That was the thing they didn't allow.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of coming right off the hot off the presses, heels and presses.
What are
You
you
made a
saying?
video, right? Right?
Yeah. So this is the second of Danny's kind of news style. Third?
Yeah.
Sorry, Danny.
Yes.
I watched all your videos.
Actually, it was 3. You dick.
Well, you know,
He
he only had one other one where he's wearing the crooked tie, though. Maybe he did have 2 crooked tie ones.
has 2 Daily Show-esque
Oh, yes. Okay.
videos.
Okay.
Sorry, 3.
Okay, 3. Okay.
Yes.
And I think this is a cool kind of thing to talk about in the news because it's like him giving news and we're talking about him giving the news.
Yeah.
So it's like
Newsception.
us talking about Fox News on here about the Fox News people. That sounds
There's
terrible.
probably a podcast I'm talking about Fox News.
Yeah, well, they talk about what news they're sharing. That's pretty much every political podcast talks about what the news is talking about. Let's not do that.
Okay. So we're skipping this part then, apparently.
Yeah, but we're going to do it with minis. I just thought it was really interesting to hear what people said and Danny's thoughts on what the internet thinks of people 3D printing armies and what the expectation is and what do you think about it and what people that were actually at an event think. And I guess it shouldn't surprise me that there is some sense of humanity. Typically, when we're doing stuff online, it's the most extreme version of our own opinion. If I'm a 5 out of 10 on this topic, whatever. When someone brings something up, my number will either raise or lower.
Mm-hmm.
Much easier when you're not face to face, look at someone in the eyes and talk to them about it.
Right.
And so, no surprise, when people are talking about 3D printing, it's like, oh, Games Workshop is just greedy, and they don't want us to do anything, have any fun, and all these, they're gonna die because everyone's got 3D printing and their company's gonna go under. And it's like everyone's so gloom and doom or extreme about it, or a complete lawful good about it, and you should never even look at a 3D printer unless you be saved by the Lord's grace or something.
That's definitely in the Bible.
Right? Yeah. I think that's the first Corinthians.
I think it was N cubic photon, then not photon S.
Yeah.
Yeah, that got written after that point.
Yeah. Right. Is this the Old Testament?
No.
Okay. But either way, the people that were actually at this event were like, yeah, I'll 3D print some bits or to get different guns or blah, 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 or to try to kick bash and stuff, or I'll do the terrain for all the games and stuff like that. And it's just like, that seems reasonable.
Yeah.
People are more reasonable.
Yeah. Well, let's ask this guy.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
What do you think? Is 3D printing killing the physical miniature industry?
No.
Okay. Why not?
I'll have to substantiate that. No. Well, that's a hard one, man. So at Adepticon, were the tournaments put on by Games Workshop?
I actually don't know. Obviously, there's tons of different tournaments, tons of different games, right?
That's really hard to figure out, right? But I would say, if Games Workshop paid money to the Adepticon people and said, we're going to sponsor these tournaments, they can set the rules at that point. And then it's up to them. And I don't necessarily know if it's right or wrong. If they don't like 3D printed stuff, that's their prerogative.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, if Ravenstone put on tournaments, which we're not planning to do right away, we're going to let the community do that. But if we did that, we put on some type of tournament or narrative event where you brought your models in and played, I don't care. I don't think any of us here would care what you bring because you're playing our game. It doesn't matter if you're playing with our minis, you're still playing the game. And that's awesome. I think that you limit yourself as a company if you go, you're not allowed to do something because we don't want you to do it.
Yeah,
but I also understand it, right? So it's a tough one. I think that it affects certain people more than others, right? People who can't afford to buy miniatures but can afford to print them. I get it. But maybe they should embrace it and make an alternative game where here's a rule set for 3D printed miniatures. You can tournaments around that. And then supply people with STL files that they can buy.
That's crazy.
Crazy, right?
I love that idea. Yeah. I want to see a world where you can find a concept for a miniature, you can get it in 75, 32, STL, or bust.
Okay, hear me out. The name of the game that lives in this universe that allows this.
Trash Bros.
It's called Trash Bros.
Yes.
You got it. It works for everything. Really, Trash Bros is the hammer that pounds in every nail.
Okay.
What was Danny's thoughts on that? I'm interested. You should watch the video. I'll watch the video.
Yeah.
You should watch the video.
I think they're complex. They're complex because it's he develops an opinion over the course of a 15-minute, maybe even longer video. But also, he seems to be kind of impartial because he's presenting the news, right?
Yeah.
It's here's people's opinions, here's some commentary on it, but not a ton.
Good.
But it's good. I always love those videos. They're fucking fantastic.
Somebody should tell Danny that the news people aren't impartial. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
That's not how it works anymore.
He should be telling us what to think.
Yeah.
I don't like that he doesn't. That's not news.
I want to think for myself, Danny. Tell me what to think.
Who should I hate?
All right, welcome to the end of the podcast. Thank you all for hanging out with us. Thank you, Chris, for being a guest.
Thank you.
Where can people find you?
Don't give him your address.
Yeah, Chris.
What's your address?
You can find my company at brokenanvilminiatures.com, brokenanvilminis.com, Broken Anvil Minis on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, all the socials. It's all the same. I think we have a TikTok. I don't do it, but somebody else does.
What do you put on it?
I don't know. I haven't looked at
You
it.
better
Someone else
check.
does our TikToks. I have no idea.
It's just Trash Bros promos.
Probably. And the more important thing, find us at rivenstonegame.com. That's the most important thing.
All right, check them out.
Thank
If you guys like our podcast, you can support it in a number of ways, both free and not free. Free ways you can whitelist our channel so you see Google ads, YouTube ads, and you watch them. We don't watch them. We play them every 30 minutes. You can tell your nerd friends about our podcast. You can review our podcast on things like Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to your audio entertainment. If you got cash and you want to spend it on us, I don't know what's wrong with you, but you can buy our t-shirts at Teespring. You can become a patron of us, and being a patron gets you what, John?
Oh, shit.
It gets you access to the after party, which is about 20 to 30 minutes longer than a regular episode. It allows you to put one of your miniatures up for us to give feedback to on an episode, and also you can give us topics to potentially discuss in an episode, all for $5 a month. So that's the ways you can support the podcast.
All right.
Carry us out, John.
In a world not too far from now, we're going to be playing Trash Bros. But until then, this is a Trapped Under Plastic podcast, and we have Chris on from Broken Anvil Miniatures, and we will catch you on the...
Buddy poop.